how I discovered that my husband is autistic. Hi guys! Hello! Hi guys! Are you in a relationship at the moment? Do you have a spouse? Do you have a boyfriend or a partner? And have you noticed some indifference or, like behaviors that you don't expect that they do have before you get into the relationship? Well, I wanted to share something really important to you in this video, and this is really important because this is about my husband. I married him in 2009, and I didn't know what is at stake in that marriage. All I know is he's a wonderful man, he's handsome, and I didn't realize that there's more, what do you say? Than meet the eyes. That's the saying. So before I continue, let me welcome you to my channel, and I hope that you stick around. I'm going to be discussing how I discovered my husband's autism, or how I discovered that my husband is autistic, and what I do as a spouse or as a wife to help him deal with it. And I hope that you're going to be staying around, because I'm also be discussing some of the signs, because autism is not just for kids, but it's important if you have children that you know the signs of autism as early as possible, so that you are able to help your child to deal with autism. Because right now in this day's generation, there's so many programs and studies that has been made about autism, and unfortunately during the time of my husband, this is not there's no such a thing. There's no such a thing as Asperger or adult autism spectrum disorder, and my husband has to live his entire life being unhappy and like bullied, and even his own family questioned his behavior. So I hope that you stick around, and I'm going to share you what I'm talking about. So when I met my husband in 2008, I already knew that he's a very shy kind of man. Like he cannot start a conversation. He's very timid, but he's such a lovely guy. And I didn't realize that, we're going to be into each other, because he didn't show any interest in me, nor I didn't find any interest in him. But long story short, God's plan, we became a couple. And so when we lived in the Philippines, he sort of fell in love with the people in the place, and my family generally welcomed him with open arms. And we are two different cultures. So he's here, born in England, and I'm there, born in the Philippines. But the behavior that he has is nothing to do with his upbringing. The behavior that I noticed from him is nothing to do with his culture. These are very, very significant behaviors that I became concerned. And luckily, I am a type of person that is exposed to many type of people, and I don't pretty much judge the person. I try to see where he's coming from, and I did the same with my husband. So basically, these are the things that I noticed from him. He's very, very, very easily irritated with let's say, for example, noise. If the people are very loud in a place, even if it is just like along the streets and we're passing by, he will just do like this. And it seems like he gets really wound up, and he will just do like this, and sometimes he gets teary-eyed. And he's about a man in his 40s, and why is he acting like that? If it was me, I would be like, put off or turned off, something like that. But that's one thing. And then another thing, he cannot stand, like people. When I know that, I might be like that at one point. He cannot stand people that touches his things and move his things. Even me as a wife, like when I'm tidying up, if he places for example, if he places his ring on that corner, it should be there. Otherwise, if it is moved from that place, then it will be really, really a problem for him. So, okay, so fine. It's one of those things. And then he would only wear shoes that is brand Reebok, and it should be the Classics brand, Reebok Classics, and same color, same style. For the longest time that we have been married, that's the only brand that he wears. And because we lived in the Philippines, and the sizes of the food in the Philippines is not too big, we really had difficulty finding shoes for him. That's one thing. And if, for example, for mayonnaise, he would only approve one brand of mayonnaise, which is Hellmann's here in the UK. And also for baked beans, he would only approve one brand of baked beans, which is I think Heinz. Heinz, no, honey? Hey, where are you? I think he's gone to the toilet. So, all right. So I'm fine with that. Then he's very fussy when, let's say, for example, I ate something with garlic, and I didn't tell him that I ate something with garlic so he would have something with it. He would really be irritated with that smell. And like, if I am a different kind of woman, it will be a fallout. But then I said, okay, because garlic smell does not go really fast. So that's one thing. What else? He sort of, I remember this, and he was really, really, really upset. We went to one of my cousins arranged, a night out, and he went to the toilet to have a wee, and a stranger touched him from his behind, and it really puts him off, and he just cannot contain. He is so mad, and there was this outburst of emotion. He just had a meltdown. Like, hang on a minute, you are a man in your 40s. Somebody touched you from your behind. Maybe it was a mistake, but what's the big deal? So, and I could not, I get so so concerned that my cousins will be put off, but then I tried to explain to them, I really don't know what happened in the toilet, but he is really upset. And I could remember that. And there's a lot of things that I put on together, and I had to talk to my family. I have a cousin who has finished psychology. I have friends, but then I tried in the Philippines to think of bringing him for a checkup, but that time it was really, really expensive, psychiatrist or whatever. So I just, put it on the side. And there was even a time that when we moved back to my place in Tanay from Manila, we had to redecorate our room, and I bought this lino, and he was doing something else, and with my brother, they left and they went to do something else, and my nephew and I put the lino on under the bed, and I'm sort of excited to show him that it's done when he arrived, and he's totally upset. He's totally upset, guys. And you know why? Because the pattern in the lino, which is supposed to be aligned, like if there are square, it should be square, is not aligned. And we had to rip them off and restart it. And I was so upset because I was so tired, and then he had made me do it again, and he won't settle. He won't settle unless that's done. So those are basic things that I noticed from my husband, and I sort of think that these are not just ordinary stuff. These are not ordinary behavior. There must be something wrong going on with my husband. And so I explained to my family that please extend your patience when he's a bit upset on things or whatnot, because I don't want my family loves him to bits, and he loves my family to pieces. But like, if you don't understand somebody's behavior or whatnot, then there could be some what you call this, friction in the house, and I don't want that to happen. And between us, I don't want that to happen as well. So I keep on saying to my husband that I'm here for you. I notice him having panic attacks with crowded people or with noise or what. There's so many things. He easily gets stressed. So at the back of my mind, guys, this is too much. This 40-year-old guy turning on, like year after year, he's getting even worse, and I don't know. So my husband always tells me that he doesn't know. You don't know how I put on how you behave, no, honey. Yeah. He always say that I'm such a wonderful person. I know I am. I know I am. But it's such I just feel sorry for him when he gets really upset about things, and like, it's something that is very important to him, and I wanted to be there for him. So when we return here in the UK, guys, this was my priority, because we have access to NHS, and we have access for him to be diagnosed, to be checked. We have also access for all this possible depression, panic attacks, and everything to be diagnosed accordingly by proper consultants. And it took us 2 years. 2016, 2 years. 2 years and a quarter for us to finally get the diagnosis, guys. And yes, I'm not surprised. My husband has autism, and this now validates all the observations that I have for him. I don't blame my parents-in-law, because during their time, there's no such a thing as autism, and they were also so busy at work, and they missed those signs of him. But right now, guys, the reason why I'm discussing this to you is not to belittle my husband. I love my husband to the moon, and I wouldn't degrade him to my subscribers or to my audience. But I'm sharing this to you because as a partner, you vowed to be there for each other in sickness and in health. And autism is a health issue. And I'm not saying that I am better than anybody else, but I think the reason why my husband appreciates me very much is because I help him in this journey, and I help him to be able to seek help professional help. And now we have the diagnosis. It was issued on the 6th. Oh no, that's his birthday. The 3rd of January. It was his assessment was done on the 3rd of January, and we got this letter just last week. So this is not just an easy assessment. Next week, or maybe on my next video, I'm gonna tell you how this assessment is done here in the UK. How what process do you have to go through? But the reason I'm sharing this to you is because my husband's autism is really difficult, because it was not diagnosed when he was little, so he has to live with it, with people not understanding what he's going through. That's why he's so he has a very low self-esteem, no honey? He doesn't even think that he's really good in what he does. Like, for example, guys, my husband do all my editing. I am so useless with this computer, but he does everything for me, and he's very good at that. And you know, in making him do the things that he loves, it takes the the self-esteem issue away from him, and highlighting the positives about him as a person. That is what I'm trying to say here. So now, guys, the next stuff that so now that my husband has autism, we are going to meet up with the consultant on the 18th of April to meet up with them and discuss what are the the help that the NHS is going to give and provide for him as an autistic person. And autism is not bad, guys. It's just having something special about you. And so we are excited about that, and things are the same, but it's just so nice to know that it validates why he is like that. And this is my next part of my video. What are the signs if you are parents, or if you are aunties, or if you are teachers, and you are annoyed with one of the kids because he's like this or like that? Please take note of these signs. Maybe that child has autism and needs a special help. Okay? So the number one sign of autism: disconnection. It's being distant and unable to pick up social cues. My husband, he says, when you first went to school, you just cried and cried, no honey? And you just stayed in the bathroom, in the toilet. Did you say that when you saw the toilet, you cried and cried?
Mom said I was scared of it.
Yeah, so scared of the toilet. And he has that fear of like being with people that he doesn't know. Number 2 signs: lack of empathy. Like it seems that the child or the person doesn't care about others' feelings. So it doesn't mean that the person is really bad, but they just cannot pick up those emotional cues of the other person. He doesn't understand that. And then number 3, indifferent to human reaction. So for example, does the child or does the person can he engage in an eye contact conversation? You see, my husband, if you meet him, he cannot initially do an eye-to-eye contact. And it's very important. Eye contact is very important because you see the sincerity of a person. But in the case of people who has autism, it's not about sincerity. It's them being unsure of themselves as well. So can a person engage to a conversation, or they simply cannot pick up the cues in the conversation. So these are signs of autism. Emotional outburst. Would you believe my husband at work, if there is so much things going on, he will just cry. And he is now 50 years old. He will just burst into tears. And he is like, if you don't see him, he's a really massive guy, and he will burst into tears. So if you see kids that they cannot control their emotions, they seem to be like, like very, very easily emotionally distressed, perhaps they have this signs of autism. Delayed in language development. This is very important as well. As thumb rule, is that right? Rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Rule of thumb. Sorry, but as a rule of thumb, you should realize that by the age of 1, a normal child should be able to say single words, a few single words. By 18 months old, that child should be able to say at least 6 words, 6 different words. And by the age of 2, the child should be able to say simple phrases. Like maybe how are you, or simple phrases, can react with you with simple phrases. And by the age of 3, the child could be able to have complete, like lines of sentences. So there are even bright kids that can really read and write by the age of 3. Easy peasy. But with autistic child, if these are not present, then there must be that must be the cue. What else? They are prone to non-verbal communication. So most of the children with autism would rather have papers, or arts, and also would rather be with toys, build stuff, rather than making a conversation with someone. So my husband, he told me when he was little, he would just be locked up in his room just with suitcases of Lego, and that would be his whole day. Imagine that. When I was little, I know I am a very talkative child. you probably know it by now, but I am like out and about, What else? Difficulty in understanding. So it means that they don't know what's the difference between real and make-believe, or fact and fiction, things like this. In the case of my husband, let's say for example, somebody's saying a joke. He sometimes he cannot pick up whether that is a joke or that is sarcasm. It's very difficult for him. Sometimes he thinks it's real, and then the other person is just trying to say something as in a form of a joke. So that's why also people misunderstood him. What else? Repetitive behavior. This is like having impaired motor skills. Repetitive behavior, like for the routines of, do they just want doing arts? Do they just want music? Do they just, for example, my husband, his routine, he would set the alarm 3 times, and then he would get up on the 3rd one, and then he would not have anything unless he is able to do his complete bathroom routine, like brushing his teeth, having a shave, all this stuff. He would not touch any food. And then in his bedtime, the same. He has a routine. So he only have to have the lights off, and then he would set, now that we have Google, he would set Google to a program for an hour, things like that. So with interest, he's interested in aliens, like watching UFO or YouTube, different, and he's into collecting stuff, collecting music videos, collecting, before there is already DVDs and whatnot, so many things. Now, there's also one thing that you should be aware with kids. Are they eating things that are not food? I asked my husband when he was little, he said he was eating sand. So if your kids are eating things that are not food, and this is going on for a while, then you must be checking them if they are like has the other signs as well. And lastly, sensitivity to external stimuli like bright lights, loud noises, smell and touch, all these things. So there you go, guys. These are the signs of autism. I sort of did not look into this, but I just looked into this when I came here in the UK and when we are trying to have my husband diagnosed. And I'm glad that he was diagnosed, and he's 52 years old. All the years in his life, he doesn't know what's going on with him. Why is he behaving like this? Why is he feeling like that? But at least for the next 20-30 years of his life, I'll be able to help him. We'll be able to help him more, and I hope that no children will go through the same phase of life that my husband went through, because their parents or their adults missed the signs of autism in them. So I hope that you find this video helpful, guys. And if you have any questions about Asperger or adult autism, or autism in general subject, please let me know. And if you have the same sort of issues with your family member, kindly share to me how you deal with it. Next time that I bring out this topic, I'm gonna tell you how we went through the process of his checkup, and how I was able to help my husband get through this difficult stage of his life. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for watching my video. You take care, guys. I love you all.